Okay, we will go ahead and get started. My name is Jamie Staten, and I'm the Family Engagement Specialist here at TRECA. And today we're going to be talking about our semi-annual review of federal programs, and we have our consultant with us, Mr. Ron Stewart. He's going to be walking us through these slides, as well as we have Mrs. Stephanie Westendorf. She's our school improvement coordinator. So Ron, I will go ahead and turn it over to you at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamie. And Jamie arranges all of these meetings, and I really do appreciate her work and Mrs. Westendorf's work in supporting our parent activities. We're required to have this meeting twice a year by the federal government to review with parents how we're doing with what we're doing with our federal programs, and how you think we're doing if you're involved in those programs, and just generally get your input for how TRECA is utilizing these dollars, which we'll be talking about. By the way, my background is not real. So I'm not sitting along a beautiful river, it looks like. But anyway, we plan extensively. You would not believe, excuse me, let me just close the door. You wouldn't believe how much time we spend planning our activities. They're drilling holes in the neighborhood. But we spend a lot of time, and the school improvement initiatives are always ongoing, because as we find a strategy that works for us, then we look at the students who are coming into us or who may already be here, and we discover new things that we need to do to help them. Our school improvement activities kind of focus on what we call a school-wide plan, and that's available to you on our website. The plan itself takes into consideration several different things, aspects of school life, including our instructional program, importantly, our parent involvement, which with the digital school, as you know, is very, very important. It takes into consideration our professional development of our staff. And I just as a footnote, our staff that is here, including our teachers, our counselors, our central office staff, are very, very highly qualified. And to that end, you can ask to see what our teacher qualifications are in terms of their certificate, that they are licensed to provide instruction on, that type of information. And you just get a hold of, I suppose, Mrs. Staten, you could pass that on if parents had that, but that's one of your rights to know. And within that school-wide plan, we address parents' right to know. The activities that we want to look at include several titles, and this is under the federal government Every Student Succeeds Act. And it's Title I, which is basically what we use for what we would call intervention. Students who are having difficulties in reading, in mathematics, and how particularly those two subjects filter into science and social studies activities that they just may not be able to grasp without a good fundamental understanding of reading and mathematics. That's basically our Title I. Within Title I, we also have our parent activity activities, and we support it with some dollars from that grant. And certainly we welcome anything that you can give us, any ideas for parent subjects. We're required under the law to provide you with training in those areas that we see that you may need or that you want to offer up through Mrs. Staten, that we can provide activities for you. Title 2A is basically a professional development grant that we can actually use those dollars to send our staff to classes, to have trainers come in and train us as a whole group or as a specialized group. And it really works out really well, and it makes a big difference in terms of our staff being so highly trained, highly skilled. Title 3 is our ELL, English Language Learners. Some students come to us without any English. They might be coming in from all over the world at times. We have Spanish speakers. We have students from Africa coming in with various language. We have had South American students come in. So those dollars aren't abundant, but at least we have some dollars that we can serve those kids with extra help. Much the same as Title 1 with the reading and math. Title 4 is kind of an interesting program. It's to expand the student base of knowledge beyond just the basics. We can get into STEM programs. We can offer counseling programs. We can do things with health, and it's not a large grant either, but it does have some really good aspects to it that can help kids having difficulties. It can expand staff knowledge with regard to working with students. IDEA Part B is a special ed grant that provides monies for additional intervention teachers. It provides dollars for, assessing children, providing counseling for children, those types of activities that we look at in writing what's called an individual education plan. Our expended opportunities for each child and our non-competitive school improvement grants basically are small, but they overlap some of the areas of the other grants. We primarily use it for professional development. We use it for instruction, and we are able to provide some parent training with those dollars. If you really read these acts closely, which I don't think you really want to unless you want to fall asleep, but everything focuses on the student and on the parent and on the staff. It's those three things that are fundamental to the federal programs and really fundamental to the entire school. So we do have those grants going on. To go further with the parent for just a moment, we are required to have you involved in these types of meetings, as I'd said, but also we have to come together and develop a parent involvement project, a parent involvement plan. This parent involvement plan takes needs that we see through our interviewing with parents, through parent discussions with teachers, and then we ask parents to provide us with information of what they see we have to actually do with regard to developing skills for you that you would like to have. For example, a lot of parents wants things would like training in the area of adolescence. That's where the preponderance of our children are age-wise, from that ninth through 11th grade in that area. Other parents would like to know about what career opportunities that their children have, and can we focus on taking parents and helping parents understand how we go about helping a youngster with developing his or her skills as he starts to graduate, and we have that going on. And then, of course, we're interested in what you think our teachers and our staff in general need to enhance their skills of working with you. And those things are very important and have always been part of TRECA for 20 years outside of the federal government, indicating that in law that we need to do those things. So we're kind of really happy in many of these areas because we've already been doing these things. But certainly we have those things that are included in our activities. The other thing that we have is what's called a school compact. School compact is simply an agreement, an informal agreement, but it is written in terms of if we provide an educational activities for your child, what can you do to help us? And that's really important. One of the big things with the digital environment is simply that a lot of times students are on their own. Parents have to work. We understand that. And parents need to come back, and maybe late in the evening, it may be early in the morning, but they need to monitor their kids to see what and how they are doing. It's fundamentally important. So this pledge that is in front of you right now hits some of those areas so that we have some agreement in terms of our individual responsibilities as teachers, instructors, administrators to you and your child, as well as you have to us. And we always kind of not we, but for many years this type of interaction wasn't fully discussed. I was just thought that the school could do this on its own. Over the past 25 years, and certainly the past 10 years, we have found that we can't not do these things alone. And therefore, it's mandated that we have this pledge, this compact, as it's called in the law, between the parents and ourselves. And we take it very seriously. And most parents, we hope, take it seriously. We know that some take it very seriously, and we can count on them, but I encourage you to read both the plan, parent engagement plan, as well as the compact, the pledge, and just get a real feel for this. The other area that I want to talk about for a moment, and do you have any questions? Let me ask you that. Do you have any questions at this point? Do you have any input for us regarding parent activities? What you'd like to be provided skill-wise, training, knowledge, interaction? Have any feel for that? Because we're open and we're here. And if you do, that'd be wonderful. We can talk about it with our other guests here today, as well as certainly calling back in or sending some email through Mr. Staten so that we can get your ideas looked at by our groups. Well, give it a thought. It's open to you, and I'd certainly take advantage of it if you have any of those ideas. We're going back to rights to know. So you have a right to know in the planning and in the evaluation and the funding areas of these grants. And Also, the teacher licensure I mentioned that you can find out very easily. It's not a secret, what type of license a teacher has. We're extremely, extremely fortunate and really happy that all of our teachers under the former law, No Child Left Behind, all of our staff met what's called highly qualified status. It no longer exists, unfortunately, under the law, and now you have license, but each one of our teachers still meet those dimensions of highly qualified. I was talking with another school earlier this afternoon, and we're talking about the quality of teachers today. And I got to tell you, teachers today are so much stronger than when I first started teaching. But they have the types of training that is ongoing. Number one, it's focused. Number two, on their needs. And number three, that it can be evaluated in terms of, well, do we need more of this? Do we need less of this? Is it, how is it helping in the classroom? And certainly that goes towards that teacher licensure. But if you haven't met a lot of our teachers, I would suggest that you come to our fall meeting in Marion, and you'll meet a lot of the teachers, and you'll have an idea of how much they care and how well they're qualified and skillful to provide instruction to the students here. So you have those. We would just welcome really any of your thoughts. And let me give you an idea about these grants, which I failed to do. The grants are very important to us. However, they are a lot of money in terms of when you just see a single grant. But they're not a lot of money when you start to hire staff, when you start to provide professional development or learning supports, special ed. They help. Title I's about $700,000, and that sounds like a lot, but it doesn't. It doesn't cover as much as you think. You can't fund the school on that. Professional development grant, the Title II, is a little over $100,000. Title IV is about $50,000. Expanding opportunities for each child is probably about $50,000. Special ed is about $600,000, and the overall grants, provide staffing, provide supplies and materials, and some computer equipment for kids, additional computer equipment, but it isn't a whole heck of a lot of money. The relief funds that were passed here a couple of years ago, what we call the ESSER funds, those were larger amounts of money, and they go into $1 million or more. We're probably at about $1.5 million, $2 million. And we used that to refurbish equipment. We used that to make sure that we didn't have to lay off any staff. We hired some new staff with that. But those were good opportunities. The money, though, is running out as of September of 2025. So we aren't going to have those funds with us, and that's why we've got to be careful of hiring staff that we can no longer sustain, or programs we can no longer sustain. And we were pretty good about that. We used a lot of the money to refurbish materials, supplies, hire those staff that would have been laid off, kept those aboard, and maybe we'll see then next year whether if we can sustain those funds. But that was the recent educational funds that came into the schools. So it is important dollars. It's a lot of dollars, but it isn't the number of dollars you can really operate a school on. Um, so there you have it. Mrs. Messendorf, hello to you. Would you like to talk about the one plan at all?
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay, take
All
it
right.
away.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. I'm Stephanie Westendorf. I'm the School Improvement Coordinator here at TRECA. And I do a few things here. I wear a few different hats. One of the things that I get to do is that I have the honor of working with our Title I staff. And I also take part in the development and oversight of our school improvement plan. And we call that plan One Plan because it's a collection of strategies that all fall under this one umbrella of school improvement. And to develop this plan, we went through a needs assessment process and we identified some critical needs in our school. And then we researched evidence-based strategies to address those needs. And we came up with 3 goals. We have a curriculum goal, a graduation goal, and a safe and healthy school goal. And the evidence-based strategies that we researched and have been implementing to address those needs. For curriculum, we are going through a curricular improvement process that's informed by a framework called Understanding by Design. For our graduation goal to improve the number of students that we have graduate, we are implementing an early warning system, which helps us identify students that are at risk early. Before they get all the way down to the end of the road where they're at risk of not graduating. And we can provide interventions at an earlier time frame through early warning system. And then for safe and healthy school, we have 2 strategies. We have social emotional learning, and we also have PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. You may have heard of the Gator Way at this point, and those are positive behaviors that we are teaching students that will enable them to be successful during their school day. And if they exhibit the behaviors in the Gator Way, our staff can issue them Gator Gold, which they can also use then to get rewards in our school store. So your students may have already, been tracking their Gator Gold and getting rewards, from the TRECA Treasure Store. So that's been really exciting. And we're excited to notice when students are exhibiting positive behaviors and then rewarding them for those behaviors. So in the hope that they keep doing it, because we know that will help them be successful here during their school day. And I also wanted to tell you a little bit more about a recent committee that we developed. I think it's been about 2 years now, called Action Team for Partnerships. And this is part of our family engagement plan. This is considered to be an extra activity in the plan. So this is not required, but it's something that we've implemented because we believe it's really important in helping us reach all families here at TRECA and to offer all of them a way to be engaged with our school. And it is based on Dr. Joyce Epstein's 6 types of family involvement. Thank you. All right. And what it is, it's a committee of stakeholders. So we have several different types of people on this committee working on this goal. We have educators, within our school district, we have parents, and so on. And what we're all doing is we're working together to enable families to be involved in our school, because we know that ultimately results in student learning and achievement. We know that, behind the school is family in the home, and we know how important parents are in that process. I'm a parent myself, and I know all the things I do every day, that help my students be successful in school. So I know that everyone else is doing those things as well. So this work supports that and helps us all work together to help students be successful. If you can go to the next slide. This is a mission statement for the Action Team for Partnership Committee. And it's that we recognize the critical role that families play in student success. It is our belief that family and community involvement results in increased achievement, engagement, and learning outcomes for students. Therefore, it is our intention to cultivate and sustain working partnerships with families and the community. You can go to the next slide. You may be wondering at this point how we do that. I told you a little bit about who makes up the committee. But what we do is we create a one-year plan that's based on Dr. Joyce Epstein's 6 types of involvement. And if you go to the next slide, I think there's a little visual that explains that. There we go. So these are the 6 types. We have parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision-making, and collaborating with the community. And so what the ATP does, as we create that one-year plan, we make sure that the activities we are planning fall under each of these 6 types. And what it does is it enables us to have different ways to reach all families. We know that all families don't interact with school in the same way. There's many different ways to interact with the school. And so by implementing activities that fall under each of these different types, we may be able to reach, some family in, some way, somehow that might not work with another family. So it just kind of like broadens that umbrella of strategies. And if you go to the next slide, please. This ties into that one plan, school improvement plan I was telling you about earlier. So ATP supports the school improvement plan. So with one plan, we had those 3 goals. And what ATP does is we work to support those goals within the school from a family engagement perspective. So we think about, different strategies that come from those 6 types that will enable us to help support the curriculum goal here at school or the graduation goal. And that's how it's all connected. We do have a couple of parents that are on the ATP. We have reached out a few times last year and earlier this year to have parents join us on that committee. And we're really excited to have them attend our meetings and to take part and to give us input from their perspective as parents within our school. But there are other ways, that you can stay involved in our school beyond membership of the ATP. A few ways to do that. We do have a great newsletter that Mrs. Staten sends out each month at the beginning of the month. So hopefully you've been receiving those in your email, staying up to date on newsletters, the calls, that our staff are sending out, emails and so on are great ways to stay involved and stay in touch. We also have field trips, both in person and virtual, that your students are encouraged to attend, and you can always volunteer to be part of that. We also send out parent surveys throughout the school year to seek out your input, so please take part in those. And then new to this year, we've had a few school-wide volunteering opportunities that we've encouraged parents and families and students to take part of. So those are just a few ways that you can be involved, in the day-to-day of the school.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions about one plan or action team for partnerships?